So welcome to the workshop of the day, which is how to make $120,000 in 4 very easy steps, which sounds a little bit like an infomercial. And I assure you it is not. It's going to be you putting in the hard work and then really reaping the rewards of that. I'm going to drop in chat and I'll make sure that I continue to do this throughout the workshop. There's some resources in chat that I'm going to drop in there for you right now. We'll go through all of those just before we jump into the actual workshop. So the first thing is a handout. That's going to give you a link to the Google Drive where there's a nice little handout that we're going to go through together. It's just going to be really you kind of jotting down some notes and some things for you to refer back to. So if you don't have it printed, if you want to have it up on a screen, or I'll also make mention of that, and I've got it as kind of like a standalone piece in the slide deck. So no worries if you don't have that physically in front of you, just something nice for you to guide along with. We're also going to do some exercises through this, and that's the second section right there where it says exercise. This is from Bold. I know a lot of you have maybe done this previously in Bold or might even be in Bold right now and doing this, but we're really going to dive deep into your database and who's not in your database, and that's the handout that we'll be doing for the exercise. And then the final one is we record all of these workshops. So any regional workshops that we hold, we will always record these, and then we upload those to our Carolinas YouTube regional channel. And so I just put a link right there. Feel free to go and subscribe so that you can make sure that you're notified when new recordings do go live. And I'm going to drop that again one more time in chat. And then I'll make sure as we're going through all of the exercises that I drop that in there. And with that, we're going to go ahead. I know your time is precious, and I really appreciate all of you taking time out of your day to be here. I see a lot of market centers that are here as well. So it looks like we've got a ton of market centers that I see you. I'm waving to all of you. Hello to all the market centers. A lot of you that came physically into the market center and you're hosting this, and I love that you're doing that. And then I know we've got people that are on Zoom, you're doing this with your schedule, and I just appreciate you taking time out of this. And I promise it'll be worth the time that you've taken out of your business and your professional and personal life today, everything that we go through. So really, really excited to spend this time with you. As I'm sharing my screen and just pulling up the slide deck, just a couple things. I'm going to have the chat open the entire time. I'm just going to move that over to my second monitor, and I'm just doing that right now. So I've got chat up right there. However, this is your workshop, so as interactive and engaging as you would like to make it is completely fine with me. So if at any time you have a question, or we want to chat further, or you want to drop something in chat, I know we've got some really amazing agents on here that are probably using Command at a fairly high level already. So please feel free to use the chat as you would like to either put in suggestions or thoughts or questions or anything like that. We are going to also take time for exercises. So I'm going to do my best to pause the recording during that. If you're watching this recording at a later date, there's a chance that I completely forgot to stop the recording. So you're going to sit there for 7 minutes in silence and watch us do the activities and the exercises. And I am sorry for that, but we are going to really do some exercises together. And so with that, we're going to go ahead and jump on in. I'm so excited to spend the next, we'll say hour to maybe an hour and 15 minutes with you. I know we blocked it for more time. I'm happy to stay on towards the end if we have specific questions or anything that we need to cover. And with that, I'm just really excited to get started. And again, I'm going to drop in chat one more time, all of those resources for you, because I hear some other people that are jumping on. All right, so welcome to the workshop of the day, how it's possible to make $120,000 a year using KW Command in 4 easy steps. Now, $120,000 is absolutely not the ceiling. So I want to make sure, like we're saying, you can very easily make $120,000 if you're doing these activities, and we have the results to prove that. However, we can go higher than that. So if you're already making $120,000, I want you to think of what can you do differently in your business to really be able to increase that and just hit that additional threshold. So with that, we're going to go ahead and jump on in. Thank you so much for being here. I know that I have met so many of you in person as I've been touring around the region or at Keller Williams events or big regional events that we've had. If I have not had the absolute pleasure of meeting you in person, I'd love to just introduce myself really quickly. My name is Sydney Seymour. I have the absolute honor of being the RTT, which is the Regional Technology Trainer for the Carolinas region with all of you incredible agents and market center leaders. I serve in that role, and I have 43 market centers in 2 states with close to 9,000 associates strong in our region. I've been with Keller Williams since 2010. I'm a labs advisor. Everybody loves to throw this in there, so I'm going to for once say it. I was RTT of the year. I just received that at Family Reunion, which was one of the biggest honors that I've ever received. Prior to my RTT role, I was a director of training and an MCTT for 3 market centers in Florida. I still live in Florida, so I travel remote and travel up to the region. That's where I see so many of you. My husband is a Keller Williams associate. He was a team leader for years. He runs a large real estate team down here in the Orlando, Florida area. I have a 16-year-old stepdaughter. We're starting the college tour, and that absolutely shocks me, so be patient with me. And I did go to Florida State University. I never know in each room how that's going to go over. So hopefully you have a smile on your face and you are still happy to be here. And I'm really passionate about helping agents and consulting and teaching and coaching agents and showing them the technology and the systems and the models that they have at their fingertips with Keller Williams, and really just making sure that we're using everything to the best of our ability and that we're just working smarter, not harder. Because I don't know about you, like we want to make it as easy as possible to be able to achieve all of our financial dreams that we want. So let's jump on in on what we're covering today. This is a little like workflow, and then this is also the handout, which I'm just going to drop in chat one more time. So the 4 things that we're really going to discuss today is the necessary threshold of contacts that you need to kickstart your real estate business in any market. And I want to make sure everybody knows that these are really things that we're going to talk about today and behaviors that you can get into that no matter what the market is, this is going to allow you to thrive in any market. We're going to really dive deep into number 2, which is the 4 easy steps that it takes to get to $120,000 in GCI, that's gross commission income, over the next year. And then we're going to talk a little bit about smart plans. We're going to try to make this so simple, because I don't know about you, but sometimes I go to the smart plan library in Command and it's a little bit overwhelming. It's like a kid in a candy store, but there are a lot of smart plans in there, and I just don't know what I need to be using for each contact in my database. And then we're going to talk about the daily activities required to see this model work. So what do we really need to do in our real estate business every single day to ensure that this model does work? So that's what we're going to cover today. So with that, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump on in. So just do me a favor. Would you just drop a yes or no in chat if you have heard of the 201 Club? And I'm going to look at chat right over here. So just a yes or a no. Okay, we're getting a lot of yeses. I would imagine in market centers that are hosting this, where we've got market center leadership, specifically MCTTs, they are telling you, yes, you have heard of the 201 Club and you know what it is. Yes. So if you have not heard of the 201 Club, I'm even wearing my 201 Club t-shirt for today. This is what we're really going to be talking about. And I talked to you earlier that we are really diving into this because we know that success leaves clues. So let's talk about what we mean by that. So this is a graph that KWRI developed and gave to us. Now, this is pulling data from December of last year. Obviously, we're in May now, so these numbers have probably fluctuated a little bit, even to a better understanding of this. So we're going to take plenty of time and really walk through this, because this is really like the basis of why we're here today and how these systems and models are going to work. So over on the left, you see the number of agents. So you see that that goes from the bottom with 0 up to 50,000. Over across the bottom, we have the number of contacts in Command. That starts at 0 and that goes over to 5,000 plus. And then you see we have that red line right in there that really starts to kind of curve just a little bit when we get to that 119,510 to be exact. For easy sake, we are rounding that up to $120,000. And you'll notice that we can see that we have 30,000 associates in our ecosystem that have anywhere from 201 to 1,000 contacts in their database. And that's really where, if you notice right below that, when we go from 100 to 200, it's 84,000 when we're looking at GCI. So considerably less there. And then you'll notice as the red continues to go up, it just continues to get higher. We've got 7,000 associates that have anywhere from 1,000 to 2,000 contacts, 5,000 from that 2,000 to 5,000, and then around 2,100 with that 5,000 plus. And then you see over on the right, that GCI just continues to climb like that. So I want to pause here for a second because this is a safe space, I should mention first. So we're all friends, we're all family, we're all KW family here. And I've got a question that I'd love to just kind of ask you, and you can answer in the chat. Have any of you ever purchased a gym membership in January, and then maybe by May, we maybe weren't frequenting the gym as much? Have any of you ever done that? Have any of you ever bought a Peloton or something like that, and it kind of just sits there a little bit in the garage, and we're wondering, why are we not getting the desired result that we were looking for? Just a yes or no in chat if that has ever happened to you. It looks like we have one brave person. Karen, you are the only one saying yes, and every single other person on this call is saying, okay, yes, we're getting more that are coming in, right? So there's like such a joke, right? If you want to go to the gym and have the equipment that you want, just wait until February 1st, because everybody has then kind of moved out of it from that. It's the same thing here. So what I don't want is, I don't want this message of, I have an understanding that I can just enter 200 contacts and then just kind of sit back and the business is going to come to me. That's absolutely not the case. It's the entering of the 201 contacts, and then what happens when we really continue to cultivate and nurture that relationship with them. This is just starting off with the data of why 201 is so important to that. So now let's actually jump into what we're going to do from there and how we're going to continue to move forward with that. So there's really two primary strategies to reach the 201 threshold. And this is where I love to have an understanding of personalities of who we have in the classroom together. So I'm going to ask you to answer in chat either 1 or 2. Are you a 1 or a 2? So let's walk through what these are. 1 is, I'm taking all the data I have. I'm not even looking at it. It's 10,000 contacts. It's got plumbers. It's got pizza delivery drivers. I don't even know who's in there, but I'm taking all of that data and I'm just throwing it into my CRM, and I'm going to clean it up later. Number 2 is, I'm going to clean it up here, and then I'm going to take smaller batches of information and I'm going to push them over into Command. So just do me a favor. Are you a 1 or are you a 2? I feel like a doctor. Are you a 1 or better now, better than 1 or 2? Okay. So a lot of people are saying I did 1, but I wish I had done 2. So that's interesting. So if you haven't done that yet, maybe they're realizing like, I kind of thought I would just take all of it and pull it over, and it's been a little bit of a nightmare there. A lot of you are saying that you were really 1s, and then some of you are 2. Some of you have been neither. Maybe you just haven't done it yet. That's why you're here today. So this is where, like, it's really, there's no right or wrong answer. So some people say, like, I just want to get everything in and then I want to clean it up, or I want to go through and I want to clean it in this CSV or this Excel file or my current CRM that I'm using. And then as soon as it's cleaned up, I want to move it over here. Whatever you decide, we just can't assume that just adding the contacts into Command will automatically lead to those results. We've got to work the contacts once we've entered them into Command, which is what we're going to talk about really in step 2, 3, and 4 today. So whether you're a 1 or a 2, you're here, and that's awesome. So let's talk about how we're going to find the contacts and how we're going to enter them. So to go big, really to hit that 201 number, we're going to first go small. Now, would everybody agree that 201 is probably an achievable number that anybody can reach? Drop a yes in chat if you think, yeah, I probably have 200 or plus people in my life, excuse me, that I could absolutely enter into Command. Yeah, 100%. We could probably go to Facebook and you have like 1,200 people that are in there, right? However, it's by doing it daily that, number 1, it becomes a habit. And then we continue to really build off of that 201 threshold. So what does it look like to add 5 people a day, 5 days a week? Excuse me. If we continue down, what does it look like to add 10 people a day? 5 days a week. Or if we wanted to follow bold, what does it look like to potentially add 20 people per day? And then continue to maybe develop that and drop that down. So here's what I'd like for you to do. I'm going to give you just a minute or so. And on your handout, which I'm going to drop in chat again, the links to those handouts. If you don't have the handout or you're just taking notes on a notebook, that's completely fine. I'd like for you to answer question number 1 here. I will add X number of contacts to my command database per day. Now you'll notice behind that it says until I hit 201. There's a chance that a lot of you are going to hit 201 really quickly. So once we hit 201, we still need to continue. So you might say, once I hit 201, I'm gonna add 5 a day. I'm gonna add 3 a day, whatever that is. But if we're not at that 201 yet, just write down, what are you gonna do 5 days a week? How many contacts are you gonna promise to add to your database until you hit that? I'll give you just a couple more seconds just to continue to think about that. All right, now that everybody's written that down, would anybody like to share the number that they came up with? You can either take yourself off mute or you can drop it in chat, whatever you'd like to do. I think it's sometimes nice to add a little bit of an accountability to this, or maybe in the room, you guys can share the numbers that you've come up with. But if you'd like to share, please feel free. If you don't want to, that's completely fine. I know a lot of you are physically in a market center. So if you wanted to share with that, okay, it looks like we're adding 5 to 10 per day, 10 per day to keep manageable on a smart plan. That's really, really smart, Dave. We're going to talk a little bit about that later. We're seeing 10 per day again. And I want you to really think about what would happen to your business if you were adding 10 contacts every single day. And then in the future, if you were having those conversations with at least 10 people a day, you'd probably find more business from those 10 people or those 5 people or those 3 people. You'd probably find more referrals from people that they were then giving those referrals to, of people that you met. So we just need to have systems. So if I go in every day saying, all that matters today is I have to add 10 people to my database and I have to have 10 conversations. Nothing else matters. And then I would imagine that the afternoon would be pretty stacked up with buyers consultations, listing appointments, maybe showing appointments based off of the activities that I've been doing for that day. But we really need to start with that first of what's the number that I'm going to commit to adding to that. So now that you have that number that you've committed to, we might need to talk a little bit about how are we going to actually find the contacts. So I'm going to drop again in chat. These are the resources that I continue to just pull in there. The second one is the exercise that we're going to go through together. And I'm actually going to give you time to do this because I want you to just really uncover how quickly in just a few minutes, how many people can kind of come top of mind to you. So the second resource that I shared that's just labeled exercise is going to take you to this document, which is a bold exercise that you might have done before. And this is just who do I already know that isn't in my database? And you'll see this is about 7 or 8 pages. And if you've got it pulled up, don't have it printed, that's completely fine. Feel free to just jot these down on notebook paper as well. But what we find is like when we're adding people to our database, a lot of times there's all of these different people that we know them, we like them, we trust them, and the same with them to us. They just haven't been entered in our system. And so we're kind of managing them in this multiple systems, which is just making your life much more difficult. So with this, I encourage you to take a look and to do the activity. But if one of them doesn't make sense to you, just skip on to the next one. So for example, I see number 2 is who is your children's dentist? If you don't have children or they're maybe out of the home, we're just going to skip over that one, right? So just answer the ones that make sense to you. What I'd love to do is I'm going to give you about 5 minutes for this because I think you'd be shocked as to how many of these that you can actually come up with. Again, I just dropped the link in there for you so that you have that. So I'm going to actually pause the recording for just a moment, just so that if you're watching this and your screen again. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to have you take a look at how many you were able to come up with. So just take a moment, look at all the contacts that you wrote down and add those up. And then let's make this a little competitive. I'm going to pull chat up again, and I want you to just write down how many names you were able to come up with, just the number. So I'll give you just a second. I know you're probably taking the time and counting, but take a moment and write down, I came up with 15 names. I came up with 20 names. I came up with 7 names, whatever that might be. And then those of you that are doing this in the Market Center, maybe just kind of get the law of averages, drop that in chat. If you're following along with us in Zoom, write your number in there. I'm just interested to see the numbers that you were able to come up with in that really quick 6-minute exercise that we did there. So I'll just pause for a second while you're counting and see the number of people that we came up with. Take a look at that. So let's see as numbers start to come in. I know you're all still counting. You were busy writing all of those names down. Anyone have any numbers to share yet? We'll just continue to look at chat. So while we're doing that, we'll move on onto the next section where we're going to talk about just continuing. Oh, here we go. Oh, some had 20. We've got some with 19. The average is 10. Okay. So my follow-up question is always going to be, are all of those people in your database, and are you systematically following up with them? And I gave you 6 minutes for this. Imagine if you took 20 minutes and you did nothing else, and you really took the time to go through all 70 of these pages, or 30 minutes, or whatever it is. And here's what I would bet. You thought of these people in literal seconds. So you know them, you know their names, you know where you know them from. My guess, though, would be that we have contact information for them that's in our phone. Some is in Facebook, some is on an Excel sheet, some is in a different system, right? So it's all of these different places. And so we're potentially not effectively communicating. We're also just making it more difficult on ourselves when they're kind of spread out in all of these different places. So what does it look like if we have them in one system? So if you want to maybe jot something down or kind of fold this tab back of just remembering this is something I want to come back to. And I want to, number one, do the exercise. But number two, I want to then take the names and the information, and I want to actually get it into my database and into my system so that I can use it effectively with that. So thank you to everyone that participated for taking time to do that. I hope that that was a little bit helpful for you. I think it's nice to think of, how do I want to start finding more people? If I set a goal that I want to add 10 people to my database every single day, there's going to come a time where no matter how many friends you have, organically, you're going to run out of names. And I don't know about you, but I think it's a lot nicer and a lot easier, quite frankly, to really continue to find people where you naturally and organically live and evolve in the way that you kind of live your life. So I encourage you, as you continue to say, I'm going to add 10 people a day or 20 people a day or whatever that looks like, to start with those that know you, like you, and trust you, and then to build from there. So over on the left, we've got groups that you're associated with, volunteer organizations, your kids' school, your gym, previous coworkers, previous buyers and sellers, your favorite restaurant, charity events. We think of your gym, I'm just going to use that as an example. You tend to see the same people at your gym. You might even go to like an Orange Theory or be in that workout class with them every single day. Do you know what they do, and do they know what you do, right? And do we understand and have an understanding of how we can all help each other? Over on the right, we have kind of organizations or systems that are obviously more real estate specific based. So for sale by owners, expired listings, first time home buyer seminar. open houses, door knocking, circle prospecting, investors, banks. So what I'd like for you to do is I want you to think of these kind of different groups. And on this handout, which I'm going to drop again in chat for those of you that are maybe just jumping on and want to make sure that you have those resources here for yourself, I encourage you to write down, I'll give you just a minute for this. You're going to write down what are your primary sources. And what I mean by that is not what's necessarily the primary sources of where your business is coming from. But if we wanted to think of the groups that I just shared with you, and none of these might not make sense to you, they might not come organically to you. You might have different things. But I encourage you to think of what are 3 sources in my life that I don't know that I've tapped into that source as much as I should. And that's something that I really want to tap into and make sure that I have all those contacts in my database and that they know that I'm in real estate. So I'll give you about 30 seconds. These are all going to be different. There's tons of us on the call and tons of you physically in the training room. We could each come up with different sources and none of them are right or wrong. I want you to know that. But I'll give you about 30 seconds to just write down what's your primary source 1 that you want to make sure that you're reaching out to, what's 2, and what's 3. So I'll give you about 30 seconds for that. All right. Now here's where I hope that a lot of you are going to get excited. So how many of you are like me and you're like, I just want an easy button. I know that there are contacts that I need to add to Command and I just like don't want to take the time to have to spend the day to do it all. Drop a yes in chat if any of you are my people that kind of speak that language a little bit of I just want an easy button. Tell me where it is and tell me the easy way to get this done. All right, I'm gonna help you out here. So for this, I'm actually gonna share my screen and I'm gonna go into the Command app. So bear with me while I just do a different screen share. I'm gonna walk you through this in a live environment. And then I do have slides that I'm gonna pull up for you as well. Can I just get another thumbs up or a yes in chat if you're able to see my screen that now should look like a phone? So it should look like awesome. Thank you so much for that. So I've logged in. I'm in my Command app and I'm going to show you something that I don't know if everybody is aware of this. And I hope that this is an easy button for you, that you'll take some time to actually come back and work on yourself. So I've logged into my Command app. It's the same username and password that you use when you log into Command on your desktop. And I'm going to go into Contacts, which Contacts lives in the applets that are at the bottom of the screen. Contacts is the little person kind of in the silhouette right there. We're going to go right into Contacts. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but when we go into Contacts about a month or a month and a half ago, a new button came up in Contacts. So you'll notice at the very top right of the screen, you will now have in your mobile app, you'll have a section right here, a little button that says import. I'm going to click right into that. And then it tells me because I have a team account and I have a personal account. It's letting me know that I'm currently in my personal account. Do you want to import into your personal account? I'm going to say continue. And then here's what it does right now. It's gone in and I have 660 contacts in my phone. It has pulled up all 660 of those contacts. And I have the ability to say, I want to select all of them. And I want to just import. So if you were group 1, this is you. I want to take all the contacts that I have in my phone and I want to pull them over into Command. If you were group 2, it gives you the ability to scroll through and say, okay, maybe I want to add them. Maybe I want to add them, but we can go on and decide who we would like to add into Command immediately. Once we've gone through and picked those particular contacts, all we're going to do is hit the continue at the top right. It's going to then ask you, do you want to begin the import? This process cannot be undone. Are you sure you want to continue? I just picked 2 test contacts that I have. I'm going to say continue. And then literally in seconds, it's going to tell me that these contacts were imported. Now the API nation cannot be imported for me because it's already been added. So I'm just going to say, okay. And then literally contact is imported in seconds by that. So I'm curious, I'd like to just see in chat, yes, did you know this was available? Or no, this is something new for you that you're seeing for the first time. So I'll just pull up my other screen real quick. And wow, okay. Lots of no's. So maybe this was just worth the price of admission right there. Maybe we can end the workshop and just be done with it. So for those of you that really want that easy button, we have it. And that's that easy button for you right there. If you choose and say, yes, I want to add all of those contacts and that's how I want to do it. So I did create some slides just to show you this again. You'll see I've got just nice little, workflow right here. So over on the left, we've got the home screen when we first log into the app. We're going to click in contacts, which is that bottom section right there. Once we click into contacts, you'll notice at the top right, the only thing that looks different is that new import button. That's that new button that's right there. Once we click into import, it's going to take us to the next screen, which says we're importing into a personal account if you're in a team. If you're not in a team or you're just an individual, you might not even get that little screen right there. But literally all we've done so far is we were in the app, clicked into contacts, and clicked import. As soon as we say import, it then takes you into this first screen over here on the left, where these are not command contacts. These are all the contacts that are on your phone. So this is where I can come in and say, select all of them. So again, if you're like, I'm group 1, just get them in and I'll clean them up later. If you're group 2, you can go through and check and say, I want to add them, I want to add her, I want to add him, I want to add her, and go through all of those. As soon as you decide who you'd like to add, you're just going to click that import at the top right or continue. And then it's going to come up with a little banner right there that just says, are you sure you want to import? This process cannot be undone. We're going to hit continue unless we wanted to make some changes, then we would hit cancel and go back. Then as soon as we hit continue, you're going to get that bar over here on the right. Obviously, I picked 1 or 2 contacts. It went very, very quickly. I've seen about 2,000 be imported in less than a minute. So that kind of bar, that graph over there, will start to go up and you'll see the percentage as the contacts start to be imported. It will just ask you that you don't exit the app as the import is being done. If there's any sort of error or anything that pops up, you'll see that you'll be able to download a nice little report of what will be pulled over. So Neil is asking, will data from the notes field be imported? I don't believe so, but I would test with one. And I can maybe test that if we have time at the end. I did one and I know it did like my the name, email address, home address, phone number. The one thing that will cause it to fail, I will tell you, is if you have an emoji in someone's name, it will fail. So it does not import emojis over with that. I'll pause for just a second, just to see if there's any other questions. But literally, all of you could be members of the 201 Club in seconds by coming in and doing this. So we've gone through number 1, which is we got to find contacts. We got to enter them. Now we're going to talk about number 2, which is, I don't want to say the most important, but it's really an ongoing activity that's just going to help your business thrive in any market. And that's to continue to build your data bank. And so really looking at your database and just saying, do I just have their first name and their phone number and I know nothing else? Do I have like an initial and a last name and maybe a home address that, quite frankly, I don't even know what that is? Or do I really have all the information that I want? So the question that I ask when I'm working with a lot of agents is, if you were to sell your database tomorrow to someone, how much would it be worth? I would bet it would be worth a lot. However, is there true data in there? Or are you really just selling a list of names and you know all the information about them? It's all up here in my brain. So I encourage you to really look at your database and to think, if I were to sell this tomorrow, how much money could I get for this? How much money would somebody really give me for my database if I were to sell it? And here are the details that if we start with anything, this is what we want. We want their first name and their last name. We want a valid email. And what I mean by that is it their AOL account that they haven't checked in 20 years? Or is it their Gmail account that they're using on an everyday basis? We want their valid phone number. If I needed to get in touch with them, do I have their actual cell phone number, and is it updated? Is it current? Do I have an old office number that they never even answer anymore? We want their home address. We want their birthday, and we want their home anniversary. Now, what's interesting that I find the most is that out of all of these, especially if we look at like the big four, name, email, phone number, and address, the one that we tend seems to be missing the most is home address, which I always think is so interesting, because what do all of you sell for a living? Houses. And so if we want to keep people up to date with what's happening in their market, we need to know where they live. If we want to have an excuse to call them, we might want to know their birthday. If we want to have a reason to call them about how much potential equity they have in their house, we might want to know their home anniversary. When did they buy it? What are homes in that area going for now? So there's a method to the madness of having all of this data. So I really encourage you to think about, what true data do I have of the contacts in my database? And I'm going to walk you through, we're going to do an exercise, but I'm just going to walk through it first. So I'm going to pull up Command, and I've just logged in prior to our workshop today. And I'm just going to show you honestly how I would do it. Everybody kind of works differently, but I'm going to come into my contacts, and I'm just going to take a look at the contacts that I have here in my database. And what I might look at is, like, what pieces of information do I not have here? What I mean by that is, do I not have a phone number for them? Do I not have a primary email for them? Do I not have a home address for them? What pieces of information do I not have? And that's where I might honestly just start kind of working down. I might say, like, I'm going to give myself really like a mission that in the next 30 days, I'm going to make sure that I have home addresses for 80% of the contacts in my database. You might already really be excelling with home addresses. So maybe you say, okay, for the next 80 days, or the next 30 days rather, I'm going to look at, who do I not have a birthday entered for my contacts? Who do I not have a home anniversary for that? And it's literally as easy as going into the contact, seeing what information you have for them, coming right here and clicking on the edit, and adding any fields that you want. What I love about this is we pulled this up on the phone as well. We pulled up all of your contacts. I can do this so easily through the phone as well. So I can go into all of my contacts. I can pull them up there. I can edit, and I can add any details that I want. I'm going to show you one of my favorite features as we start to have all of this data. And that's that right in your dashboard, and you've got this in your phone as well. You've got whose birthday it is, and you've got home anniversaries today, as well as for all of the months. So I can see right here, I've got 7 birthdays of contacts that are in my database, and I actually have someone who's celebrating a birthday today. I can click right into it, and I can see whose birthday it is, and I can reach out to them. So again, just a nice like reason to make that phone call, reason to make that text for that. So here's what I'd like for you to do. I'd like for you on your handout, I'm just going to go back into my slide deck here. In your handout, I want you to, on your sheet, just write down next to number 2 where it says update their information. I want you to just commit to, how many contacts are you going to clean up a day? I just want you to write that number down. So previously we wrote down, how many contacts am I going to enter every day, or potentially have phone conversations with every day? Now I want you to write down, how many contacts are you going to update their information? Because what you're going to see is We're going to start to continue to add contacts every single day, but we're always going to have that bulk of contacts that we had that we need to make sure we're updating. So that might be, we talked about this, I'm just going to use the same examples that we've been kind of sharing with as far as numbers. I'm going to add 10 contacts, 10 new contacts to my database a day, and I'm going to make 10 phone calls a day. And 5 of those 10 contacts might just be reaching out and making sure that I have contact information. So if I call Geo, I see him in chat, so I'm going to use him as an example. If I call Geo and I have literally no reason to call Geo except that he's due for a phone call, maybe through the quarterly call plan, I'm going to call Geo and I'm going to say, first and foremost, hey, Geo, how are you? How's everything going? I've been following your adventures on Instagram. It looks like you had an amazing time where you just went and traveled to. How was it? And we're going to have that organic, natural conversation. And then I'm going to say, you know, Geo, I'm really trying to like systematize everything in my life. I don't know about you, but that's something that I have a really big focus on. And I realized I don't even know that I have your current home address. What is your home address, Geo? And he's going to give it to me. And then I'm just going to make sure that I'm updating it. And then I might even send him like a nice handwritten card because he gave me his home address. But I think we need to make sure that we have these systems. How many people am I going to call? How many new contacts am I going to add? And how many contacts am I going to update? And again, the update could just be by having the organic conversations with the people in our database. So now that we've decided, okay, we're going to add this many contacts, we're going to join the 201 Plus Club, we're going to easily add contacts from our phone, we're going to update our data bank every single day and make sure we have all of the data for all the people in our contacts. We're going to think of our database as if I sold it tomorrow, how much money would I get for it? What would the true worth be of my database? Now we need to talk about, are we systematically communicating with every single person in our database? Do they know how to get in touch with you? Do they even know that you are still in real estate? And do they see you as the local market expert? So there's a 36 touch that I created that you are welcome to use. You are also welcome to use your own. It's completely up to you. I just wanted to make it as easy as possible for you. So I'll walk you through what this 36 touch plan looks like. It's completely customizable. So if you say that doesn't really sound like my voice or I want to make changes, fantastic. Please make changes to it. I just want to walk you through what's in it because I think for the vast majority of the contacts in your database, this will solve that for you. So I'm going to go into where my published ones are, and then I'm going to walk you through in the library how to actually find it. But I just like to go here to show you what it looks like first. So it's called the 36 Touch Carolinas region. Very, very new and fresh name. So here's what the 36 Touch looks like. So the first touch is really basic, and it's a task to you to just clean up the contact record. And so it's going to come up, let's say that I had Steve on this smart plan. Steve is a contact in my database. Task is going to come up and say, you need to clean up the contact record for Steve Smith. In the task description, what it's going to say is make sure that you have the most up-to-date details for your contacts. Double check their email, their phone number, their home address, their birthday, and their home anniversary if that applies. If you don't, it's time for a phone call to get all of the details. Then they're going to be added to, I've added a bi-weekly neighborhood nurture because that's 24 touches here. So it's like really like the heavy lift of that. If you feel like I don't really want that many touches that are around market conditions, you can switch this out and make this the monthly neighborhood nurture, which is just once a month. But by me having their email address and their home address, it knows exactly the metrics in the area that it's going to send them. Then it's going to wait a day, and then it's going to add them to a quarterly call plan. Now, I recommend you stagger the start for this because then it's going to say you need to call X number of contacts this day, and it makes it significantly easier for you. Then it's going to wait a day. Then it's going to add them to a birthday smart plan where 7 days before their birthday, you'll get a task that their birthday is coming up. So if you wanted to send a handwritten note, it's going to prompt you to make a phone call. It's going to really do all of that for you. Then it's going to add them to the home anniversary where same thing, about a week before the home anniversary, you're going to get notifications. It's going to encourage you to send them something for that. And then it's going to wait a day, and then it's going to tell you to do some sort of task. And that might be on social media. So I've written here social media interaction with Steve Smith, if that was the same example. I want to engage with this contact on social media, nothing to do with real estate. Like or comment on a recent post, see that they just got a new dog and write something, see that they're going on this amazing, big vacation and comment and write something. So just really like a reminder for me to do something naturally and organically. Then it's going to wait 15 days and then it's going to send a text. Now, if I use Twilio for this, the text will go out automatically. Something really cool is if I don't use Twilio and I want to use my native phone number, it's going to create a task. So it's going to say, hey, you need to text Steve today. And I can even put down here what I want the text to say. I just put, hey, Steve, how's everything going? I just realized I don't think I ever shared my KW app with you. Would love for you to use it and let me know your thoughts. Click on this link to download it, and then it's going to take them right to my mobile app link. So really, like, we're at day 20 and step 12 here. And this is the first true like real estate kind of touch that we have here. Everything else has been just a natural phone call, birthday, or just letting them know what's happening specifically where they live. And then I've got an email that just says, thank you for your support. And really, if we just preview the design, it's completely customizable. Again, if this doesn't sound like you, that's fine. But it just says, I got into this business for 2 reasons. I genuinely love houses, and nothing makes me happier than helping people buy and sell them. It brings me great joy to assist you with your property needs, and I'd be honored if you would help me do the same for your friends and family. If you know someone currently looking to buy or sell a home, I'd love to guide them through that exciting journey. Below, you will find my latest contact information if you would be kind enough to pass it along, or if you'd be willing to share their name and number with me. I promise to show them the same high level of commitment and service that you've come to expect. And then this is going to be branded with all of your information. It'll always be branded to you. So again, it's a request for a referral, but in a really nice way, I think. And then again, that's an email. And then it is going to wait about 15 days later. And then it's just, I'm kind of like checking the path of that, right? And so I've done this as a task, and it just says, check the path of Steve Smith. It's a task description that just says you have this contact on a generic 36 touch. Check the interaction and engagement, see if you need to speed up the communication or put them on a different smart plan. Remember, it needs to be one-to-one marketing, not one-to-many. Then it's going to wait another 15 days. And then it just says another text. Again, this could be a task. Hi, Steve Smith, it's Sydney Seymour. Have you seen what's going on with home prices in your area? I'd love to chat and share some numbers I have for your specific area. Feel free to reply to this text if you have time to chat. Have a great week. And then that's it. It just continues. It continues with the neighborhood nurture, calling them 4 times a year. That path just continues. So this is an example of a 36 touch where they know how to get in touch with you. They know that you're in real estate. You're checking in with them. So this is what it looks like. If you would like to use this and add this to your library, I'll walk you through how easy that is. We've gone into smart plans, and we're just going to come right up here to the library. What I think is probably going to be the easiest is in the search field up here. You're going to actually search by the author name, and this will be the most difficult part, I assure you. It's just spelling my first name. That's the most difficult part, which is CYDNE. So if you just search by author name, CYDNE, I will come up. I've got, it looks like maybe 14 published to the library. I published them for you to be able to use, so feel free to come in and use whatever you would like. The one that we talked about right now together is this 36 touch Carolinas region. So you're welcome to come in here. If you like it, you would just click add smart plan. That then adds the smart plan to your library where you can completely customize it. If you're like, I don't want to do that part, let me get rid of that. I want to reword this. Completely welcome to do all of that. I never know, and you won't hurt my feelings. So you would just click add smart plan, and then you can go in and add as many contacts to the smart plan as you would like. So I want to pause for just a second because I know we covered a lot there. Any questions on finding the 36 touch, adding it to your library before we dive into the best practice of then how to add contacts to the 36 touch, because that's really in the next part. So while I'm going into contacts, I'm just going to check chat, or feel free to unmute if we have any questions around that. It looks like we're good. Okay, so let's talk about the easy way to add contacts to this, where it's an easy lift for you and you're not having to do a lot all in one day. The easy way that I like to add contacts to Smart Plans is through the Contacts applet. So I'm going to come right in here to contacts. I've just gone into my contacts. I'm going to pick all of them. So I've picked all 190 of them. But again, if I wanted to just come in and check one by one, if I wanted to filter by tags, I could do all of that. I'm going to pick all of them. And then you'll notice as soon as I check those boxes, I've got select bulk action right here. In that drop down, I'm going to scroll down until I see add to Smart Plan. And then you'll notice a box is going to pop up over here where it tells me all of the Smart Plans that I have in my library. I can search by 36 touch, but if you had just added it, it would be right there for you. I'm going to say 36 touch. I want to select that one. Now this tells me I'm missing a phone number for people. So because I need to call them or because I need to text them, it's going to let me know like, hey, we're going to run into some issues here. I'm going to say add to plan anyway. And then I'm just going to take my time to actually add the data as I'm running the Smart Plan. Now this is, if you miss this step, you're going to call me angry and say, why do I have to call 300 people in one day? So just listen up if you listen to anything. You have a really cool feature here in Smart Plans where I can say, okay, I want to start them all now, which means I'm adding 190 contacts to this Smart Plan. That means that 90 days from now, when that quarterly call plan hits, I'm going to wake up and it's going to say, buckle up, Sydney, you've got 190 people that you've got to call today. And we all know what's going to happen. I'm going to go back under the covers and no phone calls are going to be made. I'm not even going to start it. I'm going to say it's too much. I can't do it. I can also start them on the following date, which just means like it pushes it out. What I encourage you to do in any Smart Plan that has any activity in it is to stagger the start over the next few days. And then it gives me an option. What's my maximum number of contacts I want to call per day? I'm going to say 10. We all talked about it and we said 10 is a number that we're comfortable with. We're comfortable making those phone calls. So as soon as I say, okay, I've got to call 10 contacts a day, I hit confirm. Here's what happens. It just takes those 190 contacts, it whirls them up in a very random order. It's going to give me 10 names every single day to call. It is essentially, you guys, the DTD2 without you having to take all of the time in your life and tag them and figure out, are we on A and W or what are we on today? The quarterly call plan is literally the exact same thing. It just whirls them up for you. So make sure that you hit that stagger start and you decide what's the maximum number of contacts I'm comfortable calling a day. And then I'm not really going to do it because I already have these people on Smart Plans. I would hit confirm and then the Smart Plan would immediately trigger. So again, going into the contacts to add the Smart Plan is significantly easier. And we just get the ability to kind of figure out how we want to run the play, which is really, really nice. So let's finish out. We talked about step 1 is adding the contacts to the database. Step 2 is making sure that we're cleaning up our database daily and that we're having those conversations with them and that we know all of the data, we have the contact information. Step 3 is to make sure that we're systematically following up with them on some sort of 36 touch, whether it's the one that I created for you, whether it's something else, whether it's something you've created yourself, completely fine. Just ensuring that we're having those conversations. They know how to get in touch with us. They see us as the hyper-local real estate expert. All of that is of the utmost importance. Step 4 is, you're not going to like me, maybe the most difficult task. And it's because it's changing your behavior. And so it's something that you have to do yourself, which we just know sometimes is the most difficult. So step 4 is really to ensure what do I need to be doing daily to ensure that I am building my business. And I want to walk you through why we want to do it this way. So bear with me, I'm going to unshare my screen again and just reshare through the Command app, because I want to show you, if you use your Command app for one thing, I encourage it to be this. So I'm just going to share my screen again. We're going to go in through my phone. And then can I also just get another thumbs up if you're able to see my phone again? Okay, fantastic. Thank you for that. So this is where the behavior change comes, but I promise it's going to be worth it. So let's say that I'm running that SMART plan and I've got 10 people every single day that I need to call. Those tasks are going to show up at the top of the screen under tasks. It's going to say due today, due soon, or past due. I can literally click into the tasks that are due, and you'll see right here, it says like, I've got a quarterly phone call with this person. As soon as I click on that call button, it's going to pop up and it says, do you want to call this phone number? That's the phone number of the contract right now. And I'm going to say yes. So I'm going to make my phone call, and then that's my phone number. So it's calling me. Couple things are happening. It's calling me using your native cell phone number. So this is not using a third party. This is nothing else. So if you have me in your phone as Sydney Seymour, I'm calling you and it comes up, oh, Sydney Seymour is calling. Then what happens is, as soon as I have that great conversation, I hang up the phone. This comes up. Would you like to add a call activity and mark this as complete, or would you like to mark as complete only? I'm going to say add a call activity. So I'm going to click that. It then comes up and it says, we know you have a phone call. This was the date. And then this was the interaction outcome. No answer, left voicemail, or we talked. I'm going to click into description. I can even voice talk. Doing this live as a demonstration on a Zoom call for all of the amazing agents in the Carolinas region. I'm going to hit save at the top. And then immediately that activity is added and the task is marked as complete. So if I go into all of my contacts and I look up that contact, you'll notice that as soon as I go into them, it says, when were they last contacted? A few seconds ago. And if I look at the timeline, it tells me this task was completed. It was a quarterly call with them. And here's the call. I called them at 2:05. We talked. And this is everything that I said. Doing this live as a demonstration on a Zoom call for all of the amazing agents in the Carolinas region. So here's what happens. 90 days from now, when I need to call them again, I come here and I look at this and I see everything. I see that we had a conversation about what they were planning to do over the summer. I see what they're doing for their vacation. I see that they're freaking out because they're going to have a rising senior and that's like really stressing them and they're drinking a lot of wine. And so when I have that conversation with them 90 days from now, I start at this. It cements the relationship. So here's where, if I can just unshare again, this is where it's going to get the most difficult for you, because it is potentially just a behavior change for you, which is sometimes the most difficult. So I'm going to ask you to do two things. I'm going to ask you to bear with me while I restart this. And then here's what I want you to do. Make a note of this. I'm going to ask you to change your behavior. So here's what I see when I'm teaching a lot. I see that maybe you haven't even downloaded the Command app. So if you haven't, that's step one. Or I see that if you have downloaded it, it lives like on page 10 of your apps, which is where they all go to die, right? We just like scroll, 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 scroll. We don't even know what they are. So I'm going to ask you to take that Command app and move it over to your native phone app. What I mean by that is, like, if you were to literally just pick up your phone and make a phone call, what app would you use for that? It's the phone app. I want you to move your Command app right over to that. And I want you to set an alarm for every single morning at 8 a.m. And I want you to call it Check Command Mobile. Because here's what's going to happen. If you do step 1, step 2, and step 3 that we discussed, you're going to start to have tasks. You're going to have phone calls you need to make. You're going to have people engaging with you. And if we're not looking at it as much as we're looking maybe at other things, we're missing all of that. So this might be something for those of you like in market centers. I always love that we could think about this, like, what does it look like as a 66-day challenge? We all make all of our phone calls through the app together and we run like a 66-day challenge around that. I think we could kind of add some really cool stuff there. So number one is to move the app, check it, make the tasks, make the phone calls through that. And then to really maybe just, we need that alarm that kind of triggers us of check command for that. So again, step 4 is maybe the most difficult. I want to leave you with this, which is progress, not perfection. We talked about a lot today. So we talked about getting the database into command. We talked about cleaning up the database every single day. We talked about systematically communicating with it. We talked about changing your behaviors and using the command app for the activities. If you're just doing even 1% of one of these every day, you're making progress with this. And it is progress, not perfection. Nobody's going to wake up tomorrow and say, I'm going to implement all 4 and I'm going to start all, at once and have success with it. So I just encourage you to really say, like, I'm just going to do this today. And then tomorrow I'm going to focus on that. And then the next day I'm going to focus on that. It doesn't have to be all 4 together. So don't beat yourself up over, I didn't add all the contacts I wanted. We can restart tomorrow. It's progress by doing it every day. And then I encourage you to maybe think about everything that we've discussed in the past hour and 10 minutes. What's one thing that you learned today that you're going to put into practice immediately? And you don't have to share it. If you want to drop it in chat, I'd love to hear it. But if you want to just make a note of it and say, okay, if I took time out of my day to attend this, what's one thing that I want to make sure that I actually put into practice immediately? I'll leave chat open. So if you do have something that you'd like to share and we can kind of hold each other accountable around that, I love that as well. So I'll leave that open just while we go into the next slide, which is if you're here on Zoom and you're able to scan this, I'd love for you to be able to rate this workshop at KWU. We always want to make sure that we're delivering the best content to you and for you in any market. So please feel free to scan this QR code. I'll leave it up on the screen. It's going to ask you, was this a regional event? It's Carolinas is the region. And then it'll be for my region. You can say that you joined virtually. And then it'll ask you and say the course is not in drop down. That's the course. And we can just call this 201 Club. And then the instructor is me, Sydney, just starts with a C, Sydney Seymour. So I'll leave that up and I'm just seeing some things come in chat here. So cleaning up my data bank and adding it daily. Oh my gosh, I love that. Yeah. So just making sure like it's a working thing, right? And it's something that we're really going in daily and we're cleaning up and we're adding additional things to it. So I know that time is really special and really important to all of you. And so I just, again, I want to say thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for attending. There's great resources online through KW Connect where you can have some additional training. Obviously, we've got our regional YouTube page where this recording will be, as other previous recordings are there as well. And most of you have an amazing Market Center tech trainer. So I really encourage you to find out when they're teaching again, when they're maybe holding some office hours that you can reach out to them and really get kind of like a customized workflow for you of how you can join that 201 Club, make that GCI that you would like to, and honestly thrive and survive in any market that we have. So again, thank you so much for your time. My name's Sydney Seymour. It's been a pleasure to spend some time with all of you on this beautiful day. I will stop the recording. I will hang around for a little bit. So if anybody has specific questions or anything that you'd like me to dive deeper into, I'm happy to do that. And again, just thank you so much for your time. It's nice to see all of you in market centers, all of you on Zoom and spend some time with you. So I appreciate all of you. Thanks so much.